Hi, thanks for joining us. We're here at Floating Offshore Wind in Aberdeen, and with me today is Mark Baxter, the project director from Caledonia.
Hi Murray, great to be here.
Great to be here. Tell me, so Mark, Ocean Winds Caledonia, tell me something about the project.
Well, the project is a ScotWind project. It's 2,000 megawatts in size. It's primarily a fixed site, but there is an opportunity for floating. We're quite advanced in the development stage of the project in the sense of trying to secure the permits. So most of our survey work is now complete, both onshore and offshore. So we've completed all our environmental surveys with a view that we'll submit our planning consent next year. In addition to that, we're taking the project even further. We've now started geotechnical surveys on the site, and it's such a critical part of the project whereby we're going to understand the ground conditions enough to start work on our foundation design.
Perfect. And when do you think these investigations will be finished, Mark?
We hope to finish the end of October with a view of starting the design work next year, submission of the consent summer next year with a view to that being approved in 2025.
And Mark, the size of the project, can you give us some context around that? What does it look like? What does it mean?
Well, I mean, we have Moray East and Moray West in the Moray Firth. That's a 2,000 megawatt site in combination. We are going to extend that to 4,000 megawatts within the Moray Firth. It's a huge power station. It's almost the equivalent of 2 nuclear power stations in the Moray Firth. It's a huge scale of a project.
2 nuclear stations and no fallout.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Tell me though, it's not all just plain sailing for the offshore wind industry just now. There are challenges, aren't there?
No, we're in a very volatile market right now. There's a lot of things that are not going offshore wind's way. We've seen AR5. There's been much of many stories around that in the press, but we're also facing other challenges. So for Caledonia, some of the main ones are the volatility in transmission charging. At the moment, that kind of excessive cost put onto Scottish projects is actually giving an indicator that you probably shouldn't build offshore wind in Scotland. Now, we're working with other developers on ways to change that methodology that will make it far more attractive for Scottish wind to go forward. Equally, we have challenges around consenting. There's such a volume of projects, and what we require is Scottish Government to put a framework in place that allows all of ScotWind to be successful. So we're trying to get Scottish Government and encouraging Scottish Government to put offshore wind targets in for 2030 and beyond.
Great, but the grid charging issue, that's a UK issue, isn't it?
It is correct. Ofgem really are the protagonists around grid charging, so we're working with Ofgem, we work with Scottish Government and UK Government to try and help them understand the impact of what is going on, particularly in a world where we require far more renewables than we require today, so we have to try and get all these projects away as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's right, because by charging Scottish projects more, what they're actually saying is they don't want net zero, because offshore wind is our biggest hope for net zero. Is that right?
That's quite. When you think about the development pipeline for the UK, we have net zero by 2050 in the UK, 2045 in Scotland. When you look at the development pipeline in Scotland, the majority of those projects are in Scotland. We've got 30 gigawatts of development pipeline in Scotland, and if you're sending signals to us as developers to say, well, actually, you shouldn't be building offshore wind in Scotland, then it undermines our business cases. And we're all global businesses. One of the most important things is that we have stability in the UK market and the Scottish environment also. So we require government, both Scottish and UK, to come together to focus on delivering offshore wind and focusing on delivering that target for 2045.
Great. Mark, are the government listening?
I'm a vice chair of CERC, so I work closely with my colleagues on that, and we have been working with the minister who's recently in post to make sure that there's clear understanding of what we require, and that process is ongoing. But we do need to accelerate the view on offshore wind within Scottish Government so that we can actually get some targets that we can get behind.
And Mark, tell me about some of your challenges around the workforce, the personnel in the industry.
It's one of the critical items for offshore wind is how we actually scale up the workforce in all phases of the project, from development, construction to operation. If there's one thing that we need to try and encourage is more people into this industry, whether it's young, whether it's mid-career people, whether it's people towards the end of their career. There is a job in offshore wind for many, many people.
And what are you doing to for the next?
Well, we're the premium sponsor of a recruitment event in Edinburgh, and we're very much looking forward to having some of our team come along and demonstrate all the different careers that are possible in offshore wind. As I said before, we think that whether you're an engineer, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a project planner, there's a job in offshore wind.
And tell me, Mark, are there opportunities for armed forces leavers in offshore wind?
I think there are. We're a member of the Armed Forces Covenant, so we've made commitments to try and encourage and raise awareness of the opportunities from people coming out of the armed forces into different sectors. So we work with businesses to try and establish a pipeline of people who might be interested into offshore wind.
Perfect. And graduates too?
Graduates, we run many projects and programs within Ocean Wind. So we have apprenticeship schemes, we have graduate programs, and we have intern programs. You know, we're very keen to try and get a pipeline from very different areas just into our business. So we're very active in that area at the moment.
Perfect. Mark, thank you for that. And if anybody would like to find out more about the recruitment event which Ocean Winds are sponsoring, please go to ogv.energy, click on events, and you'll find details there. The event's on the 8th of November in Edinburgh, and we hope to see you all there. Thank you.